Hey everyone, I just want to start off by saying I have a cold, so there could be some coughing. The screencast could get rough. Anyways, the screencast is about the effects of climate change on primates, and I picked monkeys because ever since I was little, I've been obsessed with monkeys, and I've always wished that I could have one as a pet. Of course, I haven't yet, but I'm still young, so who knows, I might. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about global warming. In 1880, modern climate instruments became available. Since then, there's been an increase in global temperatures of 0.74 degrees Celsius over the last century, and there's also an expected additional increase of 1.8 to 4 degrees Celsius over the next century. This past decade has brought temperatures to the highest levels ever recorded. And in a new NASA analysis of global surface temperatures, it was shown that the last year of the decade, which was 2009, was tied for second for the warmest year in modern history. And here is a quote by Voiland, which is the article that I found these facts in, and it said, "There is always an interest in the annual temperature numbers and on a given year's ranking, but usually that misses the point. There's substantial year-to-year variability of global temperature caused by tropical El Niño, La Niña cycle, but when we average the temperature over 5 or 10 years to minimize that variability, we find that global warming is continuing unabated." And here is a temperature map that I found on a NASA website, and it basically just shows the areas that are receiving the highest raise in temperatures. And as you can see, the most extreme raise in temperatures are shown in red, and the area around the Arctic has the reddest shades. And then there's very few areas which actually saw cooler temperatures, and these areas are seen in blue, which of course there's very little. And then there's also gray areas over Africa and parts of the Southern Ocean, and these are places where temperatures were not recorded at all. Now I'll tell you a little bit about El Niño, because in the first slide I talked about it. It's a naturally occurring event, and it temporarily changes world climate, and it weakens the Humboldt. The Humboldt current is a current which flows north along the coast of Chile and Peru, and then it turns west and warms as it moves out into the central Pacific Ocean. So the normal situation is warmer water in the western Pacific and cooler water in the eastern. During El Niño, these Humboldt current weakens, and this allows the waters along the coast of Chile and Peru to warm and creates warmer than usual conditions along the coast of South America. El Niño occurs irregularly every 2 to 7 years. El Niño is often associated with flooding rains and warmer weather in Peru, drought in Indonesia, Africa, and Australia, and torrential downpours and mudslides in Southern California. Next, I'm going to tell you about two of the monkeys that I am going to discuss. I'm going to tell you about the monkeys now, and then later I'll tell you about the effects that warmer temperatures have on them. The first monkey is a woolly monkey. It's in the kingdom Animalia, obviously, phylum Chordata, class Mammalia, order Primates, the family Adelidae, and the genus Lagotrix. I guess that's how you would pronounce that. Their body length is between 40 to 60 centimeters. Their tail is actually longer, and it's 55 to 75 centimeters. And their weight is 5.5 to 10.8 kilograms. They are on the IUCN Endangered Red List because since they have such a big body, they're hunted for their meat and for their pelt. The lifestyle of the woolly mammal: they are tree-dwelling. They live in groups between 20 to 70 individuals. They feed mainly on fruits, and sometimes, as their secondary food, they'll eat seeds, young leaves, and flowers. They sleep in the topmost layer of forest, and there's a hierarchy among males. They often fight for food, fight for mates, obviously, and they have multiple mates in a season. They'll impregnate multiple females. They do scent marking, which plays a part in mating activity and also advertises the quality of a male. Their gestation period is between 7 to 7.5 months. They feed their young for 9 to 12 months, and they may live up to 24 years. The next monkey is a Muricue monkey. Its body length is 50 to 78 centimeters. The tail length is 65 to 80 centimeters, and the weight is 9.5 to 15 kilograms. It's the largest New World primate, and in the late 1980s it was recognized as two distinctive groups. So now there's a northern Muricue and a southern Muricue. The study I went over talks more about the northern Muricue. I'm having a hard time deciding how to pronounce that. But the main difference between the northern and southern monkeys is the presence of a small thumb in the northern variety. These monkeys are also tree-dwelling. They live in groups of 8 to 80 individuals. There's actually very little hostility between members. They don't really fight that much, and they also engage in social grooming and embracing all the time. Usually they give birth in seasons between May and September, and they feed mainly on leaves and fruit. Sometimes, though, of course, they'll feed on seed, bark, flowers during times when those foods are most abundant. Now, here is a study about birth seasonality and offspring production in threatened neotropical primates related to climate. This study, they followed the lives of the woolly monkey and the northern Muricue. The study sites were Meta-Columbia and Minas Gerais. I'm not sure how you would pronounce that, but it's in Brazil. Their objectives were to investigate relationships between recent climate change and reproductive rates in these monkeys. In the study, they investigated the effects of the El Nino climate change, and they also observed and recorded the onset of the mating season, the length of the mating season, resources available during mating season, and the female reproductive conditions. Here are the research methods they used. They used a northern Muricue population of 22 to 81 individuals, and they also followed a woolly monkey population of 14 to 24 individuals. They used population census to assess the effects of climate on birth rates, and they also used the Southern Oscillation Index and 4 different sea surface temperature indices to observe the different changing temperatures. And they used previously collected data from local climate data sets that people had already recorded previously, and these data sets include the total annual precipitation and the mean annual wet and dry season temperatures. These local data sets also included different records on birth. These records of births included times from 1983 to 1999. The data included month of birth along with the sex of the infant. Over a few years' times, they observed the time of. Now, here are some of the results of the research. They decided that during the El Nino years, there was drier conditions which were associated with a lower mean birth rate. Increased heat and drought delayed the onset, which also shortened the length of birth seasons. And then they did best fit models, which revealed that later onset of birth seasons caused a decreased amount of births. So hotter, drier temperatures affected the amount of resources, which could have had a negative effect on mating seasons. So basically what their research concluded is that hotter conditions have had a negative effect on birth rates in woolly monkeys and northern Muricue. It has been observed that these monkeys usually start their mating season when fruit and other food sources are most abundant, but hotter, drier conditions have caused these monkeys to delay their mating season until more food sources are available. Delaying their mating seasons causes their seasons to be shorter and less productive. There's other reasons why hotter, drier temperatures may affect the monkeys, and one of them is the hotter, drier temperatures affected food sources, which affects the female and male health conditions. They might be less nourished, they might be more tired, have less energy, which decreases their reproductive conditions. And sperm reproduction might also be decreased. And these are just some hypotheses that these people that did the research have decided. But there's for sure a direct effect of these hotter, drier climates on the monkey's reproductive cycle. In conclusion, global warming is a serious issue, and it could play a role in the extinction of these two endangered animal species. I'll end by reading a quote from the article that Dr. Thompson asked us to read. It says, "Global environmental change, ultimately climate change, probably has the greatest potential to alter the functioning of the Earth system. Nevertheless, the major effects of climate change are mostly in the future, while most of the others are already with us." Well, I hope you enjoyed my presentation, or at least learned something from my presentation. Hope you all have a good day. Bye.